Hey folks, Dale Davidson here, Davidson Law Offices. Hope you're having a great day. I am quite sure that you've heard Camp Lejeune, contaminated water, call us, and we'll get you all this money, blah, 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 blah. So part of it's true, part of it's not true. So today, we're going to get the rest of the story on the Camp Lejeune Water Contamination Act and exactly what's involved. So let's start off by saying, hey, what was in the drinking water in Camp Lejeune? There were four basic chemicals. There's a bunch of chemicals, but four basics. Trichloroethylene, TCE, okay, that's primarily used to make refrigerants and hydrocarbons. That's what they clean metal parts with, metal equipment, okay? Then there's peroxycline, PCE, okay? That's a chemical that adheres to plastic and metals and things. It's a water repellent. Then there's, of course, benzene, which that's a pretty flammable liquid, but that's among the top 20 most widely used chemicals, and so they use that in making other chemicals, okay? Mainly industrial solvents. And then we've got vinyl chloride. This is my favorite, okay? That's PVC pipe. I don't know how many people out there, I know I have, drinking water out of PVC pipes before, but that's what that chemical is part of the Camp Lejeune water contamination. Let's get to the nuts and bolts of exactly what this is. So if you were serving in the armed services and you were at Camp Lejeune or the Marine Air Corps there at Camp Lejeune from August 1st of 1953 to December 31, 1987, you may qualify for benefits, okay? If you were exposed to one of these four chemicals and your exposure was for at least 30 days. So the studies have indicated, or they think that there's probably over 1 million people, 1 million veterans and civilians that were exposed to these toxic chemicals, and it caused tens of thousands of injuries and premature deaths. But the relevant date is August 1, 1953 to December 31, 1987, okay? And that covers the Marine Corps base at Camp Lejeune or the Marine Corps Air Station at New River in North Carolina. So if you were exposed to one of these four contaminants during your time there, then you've got two questions to ask. It's either yes or no. Do you have a qualifying service at Camp Lejeune or the Marine Corps Air Station? If you answer yes, then we go to the second question. Do you or your family or a family member have a current diagnosis of one of the listed conditions? If yes, we keep going, okay? So you have to yes to both of those questions, those first two questions. So again, to be eligible, you have had to have served at Camp Lejeune or the Marine Corps Air Station. As in all veterans benefits, you have had to have been honorably discharged or received a discharge that is what they refer to as other than dishonorable. So you could not have been dishonorably discharged in order to receive any kind of VA benefit. So these are the diagnoses that they're talking about. So adult leukemia, aplastic anemia, a myoplastic syndrome. We're talking about easy bleeding, bruising, fatigue, dizziness, irregular heartbeat, all of those things, okay? Then we have bladder, kidney, or liver cancer. And then there's multiple myelomas, and then non-Hodgkin lymphoma, and then of course Parkinson's disease. So if you have one of those diagnoses, then we continue on our journey as to how do you get qualified for the Camp Lejeune Water Contamination Act benefits. So who was covered? Of course, veterans and reservists and guardsmen. So what do you get? You get health care and you may get compensation. But realize in order for you to get those things, that you have the burden of proof. That's up to us to help you meet that burden of proof. And that burden of proof is the preponderance of the evidence. I like to refer to it as it's more likely than not that you have Parkinson's or kidney cancer or lung cancer, whatever those conditions are. It's more likely than not that your exposure to the contaminated water at Camp Lejeune caused those conditions, okay? But the law says it's greater than 50%. What do we got to do to get these benefits, okay? First off, send us an email. We can help you navigate the red tape of these because it's a complicated situation. It's not as easy as calling an 800 number. Send us an email and we can help you out. So, we got to have your military records, okay, showing that you served at Camp Lejeune or the Marine Air Station at New River for at least 30 days from August 1st of 1953 to December 31st of 1987. On active duty or while you were in the National Guard or a reservist. And number two, we got to have medical records stating that you have one or more of those 8 illnesses that we just talked about. Those are called presumptive conditions as to being able to receive the benefits under the Camp Lejeune Water Contamination Act. Now, you file a claim by contacting us, and we can, again, help you through that process and cut through that maze of red tape. We're going to be asking you for a whole lot of information. We're going to ask you for your military records, marriage certificates, divorces, all of those things so that we can make sure that we can maximize your chances of recovery. Number three, is your family covered for health care? Yes. If you are a veteran who served at Camp Lejeune or the Marine Corps Air Station in New River for at least 30 days during those periods of time. Again, August 1953 to December of 1987. Okay? And that you've got one of these conditions. Okay, there's bladder cancer, kidney cancer, lung cancer, breast cancer, esophageal cancer, female infertility, okay, if you've incurred miscarriages, okay, and there were a lot of miscarriages in the Camp Lejeune area. Hepatic steatosis, like I am not a medical person, so it's hard for me to pronounce that. Then we've got leukemia, multiple myeloma, myoplastic syndrome, neurobehavioral effects, non-Hodgkin's disease, and renal toxicity. So any of those, but if you've got a question about what they are, send us an email at dearvaguy@gmail.com, dearvaguy@gmail.com, and we'll send you that list. So how do you get these benefits as a family member? Okay, number one, we've got a file. Okay, we can help you with that. But you've got to provide the evidence. Remember, you have the burden of proof by a preponderance of the evidence that's more likely than not that you suffered this condition and one of those presumptive conditions, okay? So as a family member, we've got to, number one, provide proof of your family relationship to the veteran who served on active duty for at least 30 days at Camp Lejeune or the Marine Corps Air Station. So we're looking for marriage certificates, birth certificates, adoption papers, those kinds of things, okay? If you don't know how to get them, contact us. We'll show you how to do that, okay? A document proving that you lived at Camp Lejeune or the Marine Corps Air Station for at least 30 days during that August 1953 period to December 1987 period. So we're talking about utility bills, base housing records, military orders, tax form, anything that can give us some proof that you lived on base there. I don't know why you would have a utility bill if you lived on base, but you may. I guess if you were in base housing with a family. Okay, so that makes sense. But anyway, as a practical matter, 1953 was 69 years ago, and 1987 was 35 years ago. bless your heart if you if you got those records, but most people are not going to have those, so it's going to be very difficult to prove that. We'll do our best to help you through that that process. We got to have your medical records, so we'll be asking your doctors to provide us with copies of medical records showing that you were diagnosed with one of these presumptive conditions, that you're being treated for this condition or have received treatment. Again, the burden of proof is on you by a preponderance of the evidence that it's more likely than not that you have this presumptive condition because of the water contamination at Camp Lejeune. And so then lastly, if you paid for any of these health expenses, you need to provide, and you want to get reimbursed for them, you need to provide proof that you paid those expenses. Again, that's 69 years ago, 35 years ago, somewhere in between. Don't know how you're going to have all of those receipts, but you may. If you do, then you're entitled to be reimbursed for that. So I hope we've given you a lot of good information on the Camp Lejeune Contamination Water Act. If you've got any questions, always feel free to shoot us an email at dearvaguy@gmail.com, dearvaguy@gmail.com. As always, please like and subscribe, hit that notification bell, all of those things, so when we have these new videos coming out, that you'll be notified that they're there and you can view them. We love our veterans. We love the spouses of our veterans because without you, we wouldn't be free today. So until next time, be blessed.
No more whiskey, I'll have a Coke. Catching bass on an old fishing boat. One more story from Grandpa Joe. Let's get